right, Jimmy, we're on, but just give me 1 second here. It's not my day, buddy. It's not my day. Hold on.
Hold on from Triumph?
Hold on by Triumph, dude.
They should be in the Hall of Fame. What a joke.
Really? You're talking Triumph Hall of Fame?
Yeah, well, that just means they're tone deaf, those idiots on the board. You got to be tone deaf to not hear the magic in Triumph. My God.
Dude, did you ever think that, and by the way, we know we're live, guys, but I'm trying to get something set up here. Did you always think that Triumph was the poor man's version of
Rush?
Rush? Yeah.
I think the comparisons are ridiculous and unfair. Why? Because they're three guys from Canada? What kind of simpleton comparison is that? You know, and I know you didn't come up with it. I've been hearing it for years. All
right, here we go, Jimmy. We're going.
Hit it.
No sound. I fucked it up yet again.
Unbelievable. What are you talking about? You just did everybody at home a favor.
Dude, what happened to the sound? My God, I set this up already. Jesus Christ Almighty! Did you have the fair opportunity to watch? This debacle.
Yeah, I did.
What were your thoughts?
My thoughts were you just did everybody a favor, because I'd rather hear Silent Night than her ever make another noise out of her throat. That was the absolute worst. And you know what? It just got me angrier about the fact that once upon a time, the Pharaoh stood at the door of Polydor Records with War Dance and was right on the cusp of being signed to a major record label. And I got to be told with a straight face that that person that just destroyed the national anthem was nominated 4 different times for Grammys. After further review, I am one talented motherfucker. All right? Because that is just an absolute shit show.
Here's the thing, bro.
Go ahead.
You got to be fair to yourself. Back in those days, they didn't have auto. Auto-tune could take you, me, my dog, and you can make magic with auto-tune. So, I mean, let's get realistic here.
Right, right. We're not dealing with a real vocalist anyway, obviously. What an absolute fucking mess.
Here was my problem. I thought, first of all, I couldn't believe what I was listening to, but the main part of it, Jimmy, was I thought she was doing it on purpose at one point. I'm like, it can't be this bad.
No.
You can't be this bad.
No, you can be that bad if you're crocked and you didn't practice and you don't know what you're doing and you're shit-faced, odds are you're going to sound like that. You know, I mean, I prepared for every goddamn last thing I ever did in front of people. I always prepared. I never once went out there without being properly rehearsed, and I never went out there trashed. You don't do that. You just don't do that. Now you could. I mean, I know
You
it's sex, drugs, and rock and roll, but
you actually buy the story that she was trashed?
oh yeah, I do. She sang it
Really?
like she was. Yeah, no, but as a singer, I'm telling you, she was wrecked. She was wrecked. I know what beer can do to your throat. I know what alcohol can do to your throat if you take too much of it. I know what it can do. I could hear her thinking. I've been up on stage so many times. I could actually read her mind. Oh fuck, I'm fucking not good enough tonight. I got to get through this and I'm going to suck. That's the vibe I got off of her. And when she was done, she was like, "Get me the hell out of here. What a disaster."
And by the way, we're speaking about country singer Ingrid Andress.
Yeah.
I'm going to disagree with you. I think that was a bailout move. I think that she went out there and, well, first of all, there's two things I have to ask you.
Yeah.
Before you went on stage, I'm assuming, and I could be wrong, that you did a test set, whether it the morning before, the hours before, the day before, I don't know. I would assume for something this big, they do a test set the day of.
Sure.
If she was singing it like that, what the hell did the handler say to this lady as she's singing?
I don't know what time of the day her test run was. You know, they could have had her out there at 9 o'clock in the morning before she even nipped anything. So I can't answer that. You know, I suspect that she was hammered. She sang it like she was hammered. She did not even come close to looking to me to be sober during that. I was like, because if you're telling me that that was a straight sober performance, I don't want to hear about auto-tune. I understand auto-tune is what bails all of these jokers out nowadays, but you cannot have that little capability to go out there and do that unless you are hammered and unprepared. And I think that she was unprepared, unrehearsed, and hammered. All three, you know. Maybe that morning they sent her out there at 9 in the morning for a sound check, and she sounded okay. She sounded passable. I don't know. I have no idea. You know, it was one for the ages, one to forget. It was absolutely horrendous.
I'm gonna do you one better, buddy. I don't think that she was drunk. I think that she was trying to do something different. Or I'll even go to say this. I think she had no respect for this country and she decided she just was going to be a jerk off.
Wow, that's interesting. I don't know why somebody would kamikaze themselves like that, but okay. Again, I'm just telling you what I saw looking at it.
I think in today's woke society, people will feel like, hey, no one will really care anyway. They may think that I'm a influencer, for say. You know, I was the one that had the balls to hack up this because, you know, if you think about the national anthem, right, it's about war, right? It is about war, right?
Right.
You know, maybe that's her approach. Is like, let me be the, you know, this is an anthem that shouldn't be sung, you know, like kneeling, you know, that kind of, maybe, you know, I don't know.
Really? Whoa.
That was my thought. Jimmy, you couldn't be that bad. That was that you couldn't.
Yeah, you can. You can be that bad. Oh, yes, you can. What, you never been to a karaoke night? You want to hear bad? Go down the block. Go to your local karaoke. You want to hear bad? Now, again, the fact, like I said, how the hell did this person get nominated for 4 Grammys in the past? I can't put my arms around that. But intentionally
worse than any karaoke I ever heard. I mean, there was a point at the end that the fans started booing her. The players were like laughing.
Right.
It was. I will tell you something. I hope for the worst for this girl. I hope her career crumbles and she outs. Because you know what? It was disgraceful. And you know what? I don't think she was drunk. I'm sorry. There's no way you get drunk before this event. It just doesn't happen. She thought she was going to be the next whatever.
Oh, she's the next whatever, all right. She is. Let me ask you this: how did it turn out for Fergie's career after the 2018 NBA All-Star Game shit fest? How
Well,
did it
there
turn out?
you go. And that's a really great question. I believe Fergie's career hit the dumpster, dude, after that
That was
appearance.
shit. That was absolute shit. Listen, that song, unless you're Whitney Houston, that song should not be oversang. And we see it time and time and time again where someone's got to take the notes and I sound exactly like the chick the other night, except she didn't even have the vocal gymnastics capability. I don't know what the hell she was shooting for, but it reeked of like my fifth pitcher of beer at Mr. Beery's. I was like, oh my God, how could you possibly go out there and do that? Now, I will say this to put a little gasoline on your fire over there, gasoline to add to it. If she takes this terribly negative moment and this turns into some kind of feel good story down the road, all it's going to do is hammer home what kind of society we're in anyway. You know? Where, she
Well,
has a great comeback and blah, blah, blah. Oh, she fucked up, but hey, let's all fucking applaud her because this is a participation, folks. I don't fucking know, dude. So I think that you just went out there fucking hammered and ruined a song that really is very straightforward. It's hard to sing, especially as it gets to the Rockets' Red Glare part and the Land of the Free. The song is like a stairway to heaven. It starts off here and it ends up here. So you really got to be a very good vocalist to do it the right way, unless you're a genius like Willie Nelson, who just put the whole thing into one straight Willie Nelson kind of note range and stayed in that range and kept the song simple and beautiful. There are ways around it. What she did was try to plow through it. And that song deserves much more respect from vocalists than most people understand if you're not a vocalist. Oh my God, that's a serious song. And I just wish people would sing it the way Francis Scott Key originally intended it instead of turning it into vocal gymnastics.
um, it's a very difficult song to sing, and like you said, if you don't have the chops for it, you got to keep it easy, right? And
Right.
again, the bigger problem I had with the whole thing, we were just coming out of the attempted assassination of the future president of the United States. Wasn't the time to screw up this song. I'm not saying she was shit in moment, okay, because that's almost unachievable, if not
Mm-hmm.
unachievable.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't the time. If she was drunk, it wasn't the time to drink.
Right.
If she was trying to make a statement, it wasn't a time to make a statement.
Right.
And if she was trying to make the greatest rendition of that song that was ever sung, it wasn't the time to attempt it.
No.
So any which way this ended up, and I can only hope for pain and agony for this girl for the rest of her life.
My God.
I'm serious.
Wow. She should have used auto-tune.
She should have used, if they had auto tune on that baseball field, that's what they should have done. I agree with you, sir.
No, we
100%.
We didn't need that version, Mike, this past weekend. I agree with you on that. Oh my God, really?
No, we did. We did not need that.
No.
No. So I decided to rank the top 5. Doesn't matter when it happened.
Okay.
Now this is Mike Monte's list. This is not anybody else's list. So I want you to just weigh in if possible. The first one would be Cher, 1999 Super Bowl.
Well, tell me your recollections of that one. The only thing I can remember was not being like, that was horrible or anything. I don't remember Cher being bad at all. Cher's a great show person. But what do you remember about the version that you put it up so high on the list?
Here's what I'm a big Cher fan. I just find her as a great actress. Let me go it this way. Let me not get too deep. She's a great entertainer. Okay? And I remember when they chose her, I was like, this is a fucking mistake.
Okay.
Right? This girl is going to hack this up. And I got to tell you, this is where you get the great ones. We were talking about the last show, John Cena, Ric Flair.
Yeah.
That's why Cher is one of the all-time greats, because when the going gets tough, Cher's there.
I agree. I don't remember it being bad. What kind of presentation was it, though? I mean, I can't remember the presentation. She must have had servicemen or something. She did something that's sticking in my mind that I'm trying to remember. But
Yeah, I could look at the video. I don't remember it like that.
right,
But I just remember it. And again, when I was putting this list together, I was just trying to remember the ones that always just stuck in my head. I mean, it's
right,
pretty easy, right? I remember when I watched National for the bad ones. I mean,
yeah.
who was the track star that sang at the had
Carl
a
Lewis. Carl Lewis.
Carl Lew-
Carl
at a
Lewis.
New
See, you
Jersey
know, it's
Nets game?
funny. I'm kind of like you. I remember the bad ones. I don't remember the good ones as much. You know, I
Well,
don't.
I remember. I remember. Look, there's not that many great ones that you like were in awe of. Okay,
Right.
it's like it's a great song. You stand there, you're proud to be an American. Awesome stuff. But so picking a top five was not hard for me. And
Right.
my bad ones aren't. This girl topped them all. I mean, again, you could have put a screeching owl out there, and it would
Yeah.
have done a better job.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what they should have? I swear to God, I want someone to run out of this. Do you know those little memes where Randy Orton RKO's people, like they show them in all different scenes?
That's great.
I was hoping that Randy Orton was going to come out in RKO, and I bet you if that happened in real life, people would have been giving a standing applause. Not to get too political here, but where's Sleepy Joe here? Sleepy Joe should have lambasted this girl. If
Right.
Trump was in office, he would have shredded her. He would have went to Twitter and ate her alive. And people are like, oh, that's not presidential. Like, fuck that.
Right.
Fuck that. You're a hack.
Right. Yeah, she was a hacker. Randy RK. Could you imagine the merchandise with the picture of Randy doing that to her on the shirt?
Oh
I
my
mean,
God. You know what? We
Mike,
should actually.
you would probably buy two of those at $100 a piece just to have an
Oh,
extra
easy.
one just in case. You know what I
Easy.
mean?
Oh, easy. Oh, easy.
Yeah, would have made a
Absolutely.
fortune. And I thought Randy Orton was a great American. Where the hell was he? Definitely needed an RKO. You're right about that.
And by the way, if anyone, if you go to the Monte and Pharaoh page, you can buy all sorts of merchandise like the Monte and Pharaoh merchandise, which we just printed up some new shirts. Jimmy, you're going to the what do you call it? The gathering,
Yeah.
right? And the shirt should be there tomorrow. So giveaways, whatever. And
Very
on Monte
nice.
Pharaoh page, if you go to our merchandise show, you can actually get all sorts of merchandise. There's all sorts of stores. There's Macy's, everything else. We're one of the only channels that have this. You can also get WWE merchandise. And now, what's the difference when people say, why don't I just go to their website? Yeah, you could, but on ours, right, you get a discount. And guess what? We get a little piece of the action to help support the channel. So anything you guys could do. And I'll ask you guys, again, we're just not on YouTube, but if you could pass along, like and subscribe. Membership, that would be greatly appreciated also. Number 4 on my list, Jimmy, is the great, and I do mean this, great Carrie Underwood. Thoughts on that rendition?
No recollection, bro. No recollection. I got to be honest. Is that Mrs. Verlander, by the way?
No. I don't know. Good question.
Is that the other? There might be somebody with a similar name.
It's the American Idol girl.
Yeah, I have no recollection, bro. Obviously you thought the world of it, so it's all I can add.
The reason I thought the world of it is, again, I actually was going to rank it higher, but not unfortunately, there's another group of people that are on this list that you can't put her ahead of.
Right.
She was fantastic. Kate Upton is married to Verlander.
There we go.
Luce is all over this.
Thank you, Luce. Thank you. My old age thanks you.
No.
Oy.
Number 3 is, and dude, I want you to weigh in on her, Lady Gaga.
She's fucking great. She's fucking great. I actually hate the Madonna comparisons to her because Madonna's not half as talented, not even close. Anything Lady Gaga does is great, and I'm not a fan. I can't explain it. I just know what great is, and it's not like Madonna's not great, but I just think that the comparisons are silly. Lady Gaga is a deeply talented individual. And yeah, I do actually remember that rendition, and anything she does is really, really, really good. Now, there's a professional. She takes her shit very seriously. You can see that she rehearses the crap out of everything and anything she touches. That's a perfectionist, and that's an artist. Lady Gaga's an artist. She really is.
RJ Hudson says he's not a fan of Lady Gaga. RJ, I wasn't until the movie The Star is Born.
Star is Born.
And
right.
Yep. And then I realized, holy cow, this girl, this woman.
Yeah.
And RJ, I'm going to change your mind. I'm going to give you a little, and you might have seen it, but I doubt it if you still say you don't like her. Go onto YouTube and see Lady Gaga with the Rolling Stones playing "Give Me Shelter."
Oh shit!
It is
great job.
Frigging incredible.
Great job, dude. I think I've even seen her jamming with Metallica and doing a great job.
Yeah,
she's just a pro, man. She's just a pro. Look, you don't have to be a fan of hers, but to at least appreciate how much talent that goes into what she does, man. She's very, 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 very talented.
Isn't she the type of entertainer? If you heard she was selling tickets for $400 a piece, you'd say it was worth it.
Not for me personally.
But I'm just saying in general.
I could understand why people would pay that. I wouldn't, but I could get what. Look, she's a big enough star. That's for sure. You can't argue with her success. She's had insane level of success. She's at the top. She's at the top of her game. And like I said, and like you said, I've seen her jam with legends, and she holds her own. She's really good, man. She can do different styles. She's really good. Madonna ain't going to be singing "Give Me Shelter" with the Rolling Stones, bro.
Absolutely not. All right, number 2. Now this one, look, people can question this. Jimi Hendrix at number 2.
This is the greatest rendition of the Star Spangled Banner in the history of this country. And it was performed by a black man who served and loved his country. He had already served by the time he got to Woodstock. Jimmy was a paratrooper. Okay? Jimmy was a great American. Jimmy was a great person. Jimmy was the most talented guitar player that ever lived and the most innovative. What Jimmy did that day at Woodstock changed everything. All right? Because guitarists weren't supposed to be able to do stuff like that. He basically Beethovened us by doing what he did. His version is fantastic. It stays loyal, but it also stays loyal to his time period and what kind of player he was. It's absolutely fucking brilliant what Jimi Hendrix did that day. That's the greatest guitar player that ever walked this planet, bro. That's all there is to it, because he started with a blank slate based on your basic blues, and look what he did. Look what he did with it. Look what he did with feedback. Look what he did with the bending of notes and taking a note that sounds wrong on the surface and bending it into something that sounds exquisite, and then it goes in, cascades into a run of fury. The first chord of Purple Haze, which he invented, I still believe is the first heavy metal chord in the history of rock music, because the first power chord of Purple Haze is like a tank, and it's 1967. So while others may point to Helter Skelter, which is also very true, very heavy, way ahead of its time, leave it to the Beatles to do something like that. But what Jimi Hendrix did, my God. So I'm going to get off my I Love Jimi Hendrix irreversibly podium now and pass it to you. But I feel like this is the greatest version of the Star Spangled Banner ever, and no words were required.
I gotta say this to you, Jimmy. I was thinking about the old men back there. I'm sure when Jimi Hendrix came out and older people heard that rendition, they were rolling, they were getting crazy. They were like, how dare this, right? So I was saying to Jimmy, wouldn't it be funny if this one that was just out of the home run derby 20 years from now becomes the icon?
It's not.
National anthem?
No, it never will, because once again, you got to be tone deaf to think that. Okay, never once during Jimi Hendrix's version of the Star Spangled Banner did he hit a bad note. Did he hit something improper or totally off or butcher what his intentions were with that Stratocaster? No, none. That was absolute musical brilliance.
A bad
note is a bad note. All right? Even a cat's ears will raise if you sing a bad note. All right? They will be looking at you like, you suck today. And don't think I never practiced in front of my cats just to make sure I didn't suck. You know,
But are you saying the Hendrix version is better than the Whitney Houston version?
To me, historically, if again, historically, yes, it's the most. Let me put it this way. Now, Whitney Houston's is the greatest vocal performance of the Star Spangled Banner ever because that was her strength. It's almost a draw in some ways because Jimmy played to his strengths on his guitar solo. You know, if I have to pick one over the other, I'm still picking Hendrix due to the time period, what the country was going through at the time, and the imprint that it left. The imprint that Jimi Hendrix's Star Spangled Banner left has reverberates to this day. Okay, like Whitney was able to do what she did, and unfortunately, what she did reverberates to this day with other people trying to do vocal gymnastics, resulting in the shit show we saw this past weekend. So that's the kind of influence I don't want to see. I've always felt that it's a simple song. Jimmy proved that with the guitar, it's not the same as a vocal. With a guitar, that he could improvise, add to it, and not take anything away from the original intent. Because the guitarist attempting to do it was a genius. And he did it. He did it, you know. But as far as Whitney Houston, I don't recommend anybody try to sing it the way Whitney Houston did because she was the Beethoven of her vocal approach. Who the hell ever sang better than Whitney Houston on a vocal scale that way, the way she did it? Nobody.
No one.
Nobody. Okay? She's the blueprint. So today, what you see is a lot of people attempting to oversing. You know, it even goes back to when I saw Mariah Carey first break into the business, and she's going all blah, 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 blah. It's like, oh my God, stop. You know, who's actually most responsible for oversinging? Believe it or not, it's Rock. It's Axl. At the end of Don't Cry. He just keeps going and going. It's like, oh shit, what the it's hard for me to defend Axl when he does stuff like that, even though I love Axl.
I
But
understand.
over singing has been going on for quite a while now, and we saw the worst aspects of it this past weekend. You know, I can't disagree with you picking Whitney Houston as your favorite. She's the greatest vocal performance of the song. All right.
So
Period.
again, it's not just about the song. It's about
Right.
time, moment. You know, we're coming out
Right.
of 9/11. This
Right.
again, this Gaga be a share, right? Where you didn't know she was going to be, but she's a star. When it's game time, she's there, right? They're
Right.
stars. They're just stars.
Right.
It doesn't matter. The Derek Jeters of the world, right? We talk.
Right.
Jimmy and I talk. Me and Jimmy enjoy the same teams. Okay. Jimmy is always the optimist, where I'm always the hater and understanding what really is going to happen. And I'm sorry to say it, Jimmy. And unfortunately, I end up
You
being
have
right all the time.
clarity? Get out of here.
So,
like, I don't realize every year that the New York teams are going to suck. Really?
but you come into it with a very positive belief that something good may just happen. Where I just,
You're
so
just like ass.
again, I'm a huge, this is maybe why I like pro wrestling, because in the end, my favorites never fail me. They end up winning, right?
Right.
I was a huge Patrick Ewing fan. We loved Patrick Ewing.
Sure.
But Patrick, he was a loser.
No, he wasn't. Would you stop?
He was a loser.
He wasn't a loser. He just never won an NBA championship.
That makes him a loser.
It doesn't make him a loser. See, that's where I disagree. I mean, you're talking team sports. It's not all about him. Well, he didn't have a supporting cast like others had, and he also ran into Michael Jordan. These aren't excuses. These are facts. He had his chance.
He ran into the winner. He ran into Akeem Olajuwon, a winner.
Yep.
Listen, he's my favorite athlete of all time, but unfortunately, he's a loser. Okay,
that's rough, bro. I don't agree. I think he was a winner, but he never won a title. I mean, does it mean that? I guess that means that Ted Williams is a loser, right? He's a loser.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay,
that's right.
Well, if that's how you look at that stuff, then that's how you look at that stuff. I'm not going to change your mind.
I mean, let's not mix it up. You can be a great player and a loser. Necessarily have to be like you're not, you know what I mean? You can be look, here, you know what? You do the baseball bums on Sunday with Benny, and I know I keep promoting because I love the show, and people, if you love baseball, you have to get to it. But, I'm not part of the show, but I watch on a regular basis every Sunday.
Yeah.
Jimmy, you said one thing, and this is the first time I'm ever going to say this to you.
Yeah.
You were talking about pitching, and I forget what pitcher you were talking about, and it doesn't really matter, but he had 288 wins. And you said, you know what I said to myself? No,
Right.
it's not. The rule is 300. He failed.
No, that's not a rule.
He lost.
300 is not
That's
a rule.
the standard. It's the standard. It's the standard.
Not anymore.
It's not the
guarantee. Anymore.
We're talking about when this person
hasn't
played.
been for like 20 years. When Dennis Martinez got in with 240 something wins, it hasn't been the standard for years.
I understand, but when that person played, it wasn't good enough. It wasn't good enough, and that's all I'm trying to say. You have to have barriers, and I don't agree. I'm sorry. I know they changed the game, but I'm getting off track. All I'm saying is there's winners and there's losers. Mark Messier is a fucking winner.
Oh, God.
Okay?
That's for sure. Absolutely. I agree.
Henrik Rundqvist, right, is a loser. He's a loser.
I got you. Hey, look, I can't change your mind. I can't change your opinion. Why would I try? I got no reason to. If that's how you look at those guys, I mean, Don Mattingly is a loser. I get it. That's fine. If that's the difference that you judge. I mean, I would think that it would be a more reasonable approach on in boxing or MMA or something like that, where it is all about you and it's up to you to either take it and grab it or not. But
if you're talking about baseball, Jimmy, I agree with you. If you're talking to me about basketball, I disagree with you. You can own the court as a single player, okay, with role players around you if you're that. It's a little more difficult, right? 3 bats a game, playing only one field. I agree with you there. A lot more difficult. But basketball? No way. And you're right. Boxing is another thing, too. Boxing, it's all you alone. I totally get it. I get it.
Right.
I understand.
Right. I'll make this quick because I know we don't want to get too sidetracked. But as far as basketball goes, even Jordan had Pippen. Kareem had Magic and Worthy. Bird had McHale and Parrish. And we all know about Golden State when Durant got there to pair up with Curry. Okay? There always has to be someone else on a stud Hall of Fame type level. And we both know the facts when it comes to Patrick Ewing. Patrick Ewing in his prime had John Starks and Charles Oakley. That is not James Worthy. That is not Magic Johnson. That is not Scottie Pippen. That is not Kevin Durant. That is none of those things. And by the time that Patrick got a supporting cast of an Allen Houston and a Larry Johnson and everything else he had, he was already old and broke his foot.
I understand.
You know what I'm saying? So I get it, though. You're right, though. Basketball is definitely much more getting closer to what you're talking about. There's only 5 guys on the court. It's not like you got 9 men on the field or a 25-man roster like baseball has. And football's another even rougher one. You got 53 guys. Dan Marino's a loser? I guess he is, right? The other 52 guys, he didn't have, I mean, shit. Even Stabler had.
I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to disagree with you. This is here why. If you're a quarterback, you can control a game. You know this as well as I can.
Well, especially nowadays.
Right,
but I'm not so sure about back in the day when you really got hit and they didn't throw a flag.
Okay, you may not like what I'm going to say here. Here's a perfect example. I know how much you love Thurman Munson. And I know that if Thurman Munson did not pass away, who knows what he could have did.
Right.
But unfortunately, he did. And guess what? That sucks. So you can never look. It even goes back, and when we talk about Barry Bonds and
he's a loser.
Barry Bonds. Did he win a World Series? He did.
No, he did not. He lost. He lost in 2000.
Didn't he win with the Giants?
No, he was not there at that point. Nope, he was gone, and he got to one World Series and he lost it.
So then he's a loser. That's right. But here's my
Thurman
point.
Munson? Thurman Munson's a winner.
Yeah, he sure is. He sure is. All the way down to the fucking Whatever. Don't even
There
make.
we go. Fucking. You
So,
had to, right, mate?
but
You
here's the thing.
had to.
Here's the thing. Can you tell me that Mike Schmidt did? Can you guarantee me Mike Schmidt never took a steroid?
No.
Or Greg Luzinski? You can't.
No. Colton Fisk. See those forearms about 10
Right.
years into. Whoa.
Johnny Bench. Johnny
Right.
Bench.
Well, I'm not so sure about Johnny, but I got you. I got you. Those other names, I could see it.
All I'm saying is you can't guarantee it. So how can you
Right.
punish Sammy Sosa, Barry Bonds? You just can't.
I don't think we should. I don't think we should. I totally agree with that. It's very hypocritical. They should all be in the Hall of Fame. Grown men on roids, throwing to grown men on roids, plus the list. You know, 80% of that list, those guys sucked. So
getting back to the conversation, we were talking about winners. So Whitney Houston, when it was game time and this country needed it, she brought it home, man. She brought it home and made everybody feel good. I mean, we're going to talk about the president. Unfortunately, this weekend, the U.S., even with this national anthem was not enough. The attempted assassination of the future President Trump was thwarted. Jimmy, what were your thoughts when you first heard about the assassination attempt on President Trump?
Well, obviously, I saw it. I wasn't there in person, but obviously I watched it just like everybody else did. And I was torn between two really strong emotions because this all happened very fast, obviously. Within a minute and a half to 2 minutes, everything changes. And my first thought was horror. Oh my God, they're trying to kill him. You can't be serious. I haven't, and immediately Reagan came into my mind because we're older. And I thought about Reagan being shot at. And the second emotion that hit me really, really hard, it was really like being ripped in half watching this, was first horror and then inspiration. Because the man who was shot somehow managed to get to his feet and tell everyone around him trying to protect him, wait. And he put his fist up. And I was very moved by that. I was like, the term leader gets thrown around a lot, but if there is no respect for a man who risks his life at this point in his life when he doesn't need to for his country, he's wealthy, he doesn't need this nonsense. He doesn't need this nonsense. He could be on an island someplace just enjoying his riches and his peace and quiet. When someone like that can take a bullet to the face, and the ear is part of your skull. So yeah, when you can take a bullet and stand up and let everybody know that what you're trying to get through to the American public is the right thing, and to stand by it and fight for what the right thing is, it's an immeasurable amount of respect coming from me. And I don't get involved too heavily in politics until recently, until the last bunch of years, where I've seen all sorts of things get twisted and turned, and I get to hear comments about how somehow this man is the same thing as the man who killed 6 million Jews in Nazi Germany. I can't take it. I can't take it. And a lot of things went through my mind when I saw him stand up and do that. And I thought to myself, you just won the election, you tough motherfucker.
Well, let me share some social media comments about the great Donald Trump after this thing. Eminem and Ellen say they would leave the United States if Donald Trump becomes president in 2024. Thoughts on that?
Don't let the door hit you on the ass on the way out. And you won't leave because you're spoiled. And you're spoiled right here in this country with your 50-foot high gates and your security staff, while you tell us how we should live. And then tell all sorts of thousands upon thousands of strangers to flood into my town. Let them flood into your town. Okay? Don't volunteer my freedom for your selfish fucking thoughts on the world, or how you live.
By the way, we're gonna make some people famous tonight. Okay, because this is going to go. Hang in there. I know a lot of people watching Hulk Hogan. You're not going to want to miss this because it's going to get a lot worse. Trust me. Here's a little Facebook post by a guy, Jonathan Presley. I'm begging you all to care like this when it's a third grade classroom instead of an ear. Thoughts of that comment? Jonathan Presley. Look him up on Facebook.
What's he trying to accomplish? What is he saying that we don't care about?
I guess he's trying to say that people don't care about classroom shootings but Donald Trump got shot in the ear. Again, just because you're a Trumpster doesn't mean that you don't care about schools getting shot up. You know what I'm saying? I don't think they run consecutively together. I mean, it's a pretty stupid comment, Jonathan Presley. I don't even understand the comment. It's like, again, under this president, I think there's been more classroom shootings than ever. So I don't know. It's just another comment. Let me share another one with you, Jimmy. And I want to thank Benny Scala for supplying me with this.
All right.
He's a great team player. Next up,
player?
Comparing Cody Rhodes to the assassination of president, selling shots that didn't hit him, using fake blood for better effect, getting up by using the fighting spirit, refusing help from the doctors and security, using taunts. He's a nightmare for many Americans. He's using taunts. He's called the American Nightmare. Thoughts of the assassination attempt being compared to a stupid professional wrestler?
Fucking moron. Fucking moron. By the way, I consider that dangerous commentary, that you can run your mouth like that, by the way. Okay? So the whole thing is scripted now, right? That's what he's trying to get at, because he knows he's so much smarter than the rest of the free world. He's going to compare it to scripted wrestling. That's very good. You're a fucking moron. Okay?
Yeah.
Fucking moron. Everyone's got the right to type whatever they want, I guess. It's just a free-for-all. By the way, I'd like to get this in, too. If, God forbid, Joe Biden had been shot, I would not be happy about it. All right? I don't root for death when it comes to our politicians, when it comes to our leaders. All right? You're fucked up.
This is
You're
the
really,
leader,
really
this is
fucked
the leader
up
of the
to fucking say
this
shit
is the
like
leader
that.
of the free world. We don't do this in America. We don't settle our differences by eliminating the competition. That's done in third world countries. So if this happened to my president Biden at the time,
right?
Anybody who thought that was funny would be unacceptable also, Jimmy.
Absolutely. I would be very annoyed with people being like, oh, the president got shot. Good. What the fuck is wrong with you that you would think that?
Well, it's a big problem. It's a really huge problem. Trying to find something here, Jimmy. Hold on a second.
I mean, I've been horrified by some of the things I've seen. Basically, like, oh, it's too bad that they missed by half an inch. All our problems would have been solved. What problems is that? Your own paranoia? Your ideology don't fit your fucked up window? I mean, what kind of fucking maniac are you to think that it's a good thing to have anybody shot to death? The fuck is wrong with you? And I find it odd that it comes from the so-called peaceful movement. That's not very peaceful. The fuck is that?
No, it's not. It's not.
The fuck is that? What is that? What does that come from? How disconnected are you? People been watching too much TV or fucking on the internet too much, man, to lose touch of reality like that. I would never want anybody shot and killed, And lost in all of this is the poor man who lost his life. Was that fake too, Mike? Was that fake? That man dying? What the fuck? Where does this fucking stupidity come from? Seriously. Look, whoever wanted him gone, or whatever was behind that wanted him gone, you fucked up. You didn't get it done. And now it's going to be stronger than ever. So congratulations for trying to take the low road, because you're going to get smacked with the high road on the way back down. What the fuck? Really dumb. Dumb. Wrong, dumb, immoral, and a whole bunch of other things. Mike, you got to help me out here. I'm going to burst whatever the doctor sealed back together fucking 7 years ago.
I know you are. I'm trying to set up something, Jimmy. Just hang in there.
I'm just sickened by the whole thing.
It's gonna be a fun old time at the.
You know, I was raised in a Jewish house. I was raised in a Jewish household. I've had to listen to people call him Hitler. What, you were there? You were there during World War II? You went through all of that? You don't have no fucking clue who Adolf Hitler was if you say something like that.
Jimmy,
all right?
Check this out. Check this out. Let's make this your
here comes the top prize bitch. Hit it.
Here you go. Ready? Wait. Do I have the sound up? 1 second.
I just found out this. Just happened. I haven't even had a second to process. You're telling me somebody to bring a few. Wait, what?
All right, I'm gonna end that because of the feedback. Right?
Turn that noise off that's coming out of her mouth. All right, Mike. I'll say it first. All right. She should be under fucking arrest. All right. She should be placed under fucking arrest. That's hate speech at its finest. All right. You're basically condoning and calling for the assassination of a political figure. All right. You don't belong here. You belong locked up someplace because your ideologies are dangerous. All right. You know, you're young, and congratulations that you're young, but you're obviously very, very stupid and ill-informed. All right. If that's the future of this country, I might as well go jump in the ocean right now and go for a long underneath journey and stay down there, because this is just an absolute disgrace that somebody would have the balls to say anything like this and then fucking post it, and we're not going to do anything about it. That's hate speech. What is that? You know, I can dislike either party all I want, but I'm not going to be calling for them to be killed. That's not how we handle things. Why is this running rampant? What is this?
We're going to try something else, Jimmy, and we'll get back to this. So if anyone's not aware, for the last year, you've seen me and Jimmy playing the. Sorry, Jimmy, we're going to do this. I'm sorry. We're going to get, you and I are going to get some skin here, I think.
All right.
So Jimmy and I were approached by a company called Intuitive, and they were very interested in the show. And before even anybody got this commercial, me and Jimmy got this commercial, and we signed contracts with this company for a substantial amount of money. And the payments were supposed to start October 2023. The gentleman in charge of this site, Intuitive, which is still around, by the way, opted not to pay us. And Jimmy has seen all the messages. There was one problem after another. And I prayed and I hoped that, he was telling the truth. Again, I'm not stupid, right? I just prayed and hoped. And, even to this day, we're being promised that we're going to get paid. This is almost Jimmy and I put a lot of effort into this, and actually put a lot of money towards it. So anyway, that all being said, Jimmy, we have our roles here, I guess is a fair way. So Jimmy really didn't have tons of contact. Me and Jimmy communicated, and if I could share, Jimmy, you and I also signed contract because these are legitimate business opportunities, right? And you sign paperwork, guys out there, to make sure that every year, right? So there's no confusion, because even the best of friends, when it comes to money, it becomes a problem. Fair enough, Jimmy? Am I explaining this right?
Yeah.
So could you share your thoughts when you did not receive this money?
Well, I felt that he was bamboozling us from day one. He had one excuse after another. I looked up his past, and his past suggested that this is what he does to people. So I was not surprised by any of it. Yeah, I held out hope. We held out hope, but he is what he is, apparently.
So R.J. Hudson says, Monte, it's time. It sounds like a lawyer. So R.J., you're 100% correct. Here's the problem. The amount of money is a substantial amount of money, but in today's society with lawyers, it's not quite as substantial as you would think. So the expenditure for, I do have a lawyer, okay? Jimmy and I spoke about it. We knew what it was going to cost to get this lawyer. And between me and Jimmy is it wasn't worth it, by the time, if we were lucky enough to get the money, guys, RJ, that we would have spent it all anyway with a fucking lawyer. You know what I mean? And I reached out to Jim Beam personally. I spoke to the head of marketing. From what I understand, from what I understand is Intuitive made a deal with a marketing company who handled this for Jim Beam. They paid Intuitive, which was supposed to pay us, but they never paid us. And, involved with the Intuitive thing. So I reached out to Jim Beam. I spoke to the head of marketing. She put some pressure on the other marketing group, which then forced the gentleman I'm about to call on the phone live on air, because I got his number from somebody. And we're going to ask him why he hasn't paid us our money. He's had me blocked for a long time, right, Jimmy? I asked Jimmy to call. I had other people call. So let's not get the drift. So here we go. Let's see how this works, Jimmy. He may not even answer, but we'll take a shot. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Hello. Please leave a message after the tone.
Hey, Mike Sakala. It is Mike, Monte, and Jimmy Pharaoh from the show Monte and the Pharaoh. We're live on air right now. We would like to speak to you about the situation in regards to our contract with Jim Beam. We have 100 live viewers watching us right now, and they're interested to know why we haven't been paid right now. I appreciate a call back. Thanks. All right, we're going to try.
Dial is not in service.
Okay, that's no good. Next up, let's try this one.
He's probably at a Biden rally.
Live on air. Archie says he's on a date with Kamala Harris.
Please leave your message for.
There's no name on the other end.
Or Kamala.
Hi, Mike Sakala. This is Mike Monte and Jimmy Pharaoh from Monte and the Pharaoh. You're live on air. We're trying to reach you to speak to 100 people watching us right now, and the 150,000 people that watch us a week on New York cable, as well as all social media, to discuss why we haven't been paid yet for the Jim Beam negotiation. Greatly would appreciate a call back where the fans can hear what the problem is. So hopefully to hear back from you, Michael. Hope all is well. Have a good day. All right. Well,
You're
listen,
so
dude.
pleasant. You're so pleasant. I got to give you that.
Hey, listen. This is how it is, right? You got to start fighting back a little bit, right? Like the people that we said, this has caused both you and me a lot of pain. And again,
Yep.
honestly, it's like if you make a deal, and I know he's been paid, you make a deal, you should finish the deal. Business, Jimmy spent many hours uploading videos on that site, giving them canned videos, promoting, right?
Yep.
They,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
again, they made the deal. What we got paid is only probably a very get paid was probably we didn't get paid anything, so I misspoke. So I apologize for that. It was probably a very small portion compared to what they actually were.
Right.
What,
Well, I
what
knew
are the odds that he's going to go ahead?
I could tell that there was going to be a problem from day one because our payment was delayed, and that bothered me because he was getting his money when he was getting his money, and for some reason we were to wait. So right away it smelled to me. But you know, look, we took him on face value that he was going to be an honest businessman. That's one of the things you usually always will make sure of, that everything's on the up and up. You trusted him. He trusted us, and he took advantage of us. That's what it feels like to me.
It don't feel like it, bro. It actually is the case. So, you know,
Yeah,
again,
obviously.
you know, we supplied a service. They were
Yep.
paid. We were not paid.
Right.
And you know what? Again, it's just is not the way to do business with people. It's not fair.
Nope. No, it's
I can
not.
tell you anybody that does business with Monte and the would never fuck anybody over. In fact, Jimmy and I have had conversations because we make deals with certain people with certain things, and Jimmy sometimes says that's too much. I disagree. We shouldn't be doing it. We come to some sort of a resolution, right? We're a team here. We make that decision together. But you know, the problem is when you're supposed to get paid, you're supposed to get paid.
Yep.
And you know,
A considerable
threw out
amount.
exactly what we wanted to do with that money and what we wanted to do to impress that.
Yep.
They will. Sullivan's current health situation. Kevin supposedly is recovering. I really haven't spoken to anybody about it. I will tell you personally, when I looked at the pictures of Kevin, he does not look well.
No.
He looks like
he doesn't.
Someone's knocking, but there's no one home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm definitely concerned with the pictures I saw because just maybe 2 years ago we were hanging out at the bar with him, and that's not the Kevin Sullivan that we hung out with. So he's not looking good.
All right, dudes. Comments. Let's talk about what we know about the shooting of President Trump, the attempted assassination. What we do not know so far, and I'm going to ask you to weigh in on what you think. The shooter's motive. Authorities have conducted hundreds of interviews, cracked into the shooter's phone, and searched the car and home. A motive behind the attempt on President Trump's remains unknown. Thoughts on that?
Well, I think this is going to be one of those cases where we're not going to find out a lot of things for a very long time. A lot of secrets died with the kid on the roof. And I knew the kid wouldn't make it out of there. I also knew this was an amateur shooting. It had to be. How did you miss? Because if you're a trained professional sniper, I've seen the dimensions and where he was and stuff like that. You don't miss if you're a pro. So I knew right away that it was not a trained military person of any note.
I don't. When it comes to shooting something, okay. Yes, you're correct. He really should have hit, but I don't know if it was amateur hour. I have no idea. Okay?
I think it was. I think it was. Now, as to
more than likely, yes.
Right, and as to what he was doing on that roof and who put him there, I don't think we're ever going to know. I mean, if it was planned on his own, the secrets died with him. I have no idea. You know, the pessimist in me feels that, you know, the kid was put up to it. But again, these are things we won't hear about till look, they're still debating about Kennedy. To this day, they're still debating about Kennedy. Some of us
but this isn't the Kennedy situation.
No,
bro.
it's not. It's not. But it's still an assassination attempt. That's the only thing that aligns it with it. All I'm saying is that the answers may take decades to come out, just like it has with Kennedy. That's the only comparative line I'll draw with that. You know, I don't think that.
How about this one? How about this?
Go ahead.
Why wasn't he stopped? Police had a report of a suspicious man in the rally. The witnesses pointed out an armed man on the nearby roof that the police officer climbed onto. Crook still fired several shots that killed one spectator, wounded two others, and grazed the former president's ear.
He should have been stopped. That's why the pessimist in me referred to earlier that, who put him up to it, you know? I'm speculating, but it sure feels like that this was prearranged and that he was going to get his shots off one way or the other. Now, why they selected him, if that's the case, if there was a whole circle of people involved in this assassination attempt, why they would select a 20-year-old schmagegi who has bad aim, I don't know. Maybe because they just felt like, he's just a kid. If he fucks up, we'll just kill him. I don't know. I have no idea. He should have been stopped. That's obvious. I mean, I've seen different footage of other people like showing him, like, hey, he's right there. He's right there. And they didn't do anything. I heard some cock and bull line about how they weren't allowed to go up there. They didn't have the manpower to protect that. Is that the biggest crock of shit you've ever heard? That is the biggest crock of shit I've ever heard, that they didn't have the manpower to cover that building. What are you talking about? How stupid do you think we are?
Well, it's funny. Jay Will I think Luce or Jay brought up Kevin Sullivan. Maybe Kevin Sullivan was involved. Did he kill Chris Benoit? I mean, that's what the hundreds of people that write on our page every day about.
Right.
That,
We'll have to ask Lee Cole. He's probably going to break that story.
Yeah, and the What a Day chopper. By the way, Joe What a Day, with his movement to the Lee Cole channel, has now been afforded a chopper. So he's in the exclusive chopper, the What a Day chopper.
The What a Day chopper. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure tons of people will flock to that hate campaign. There you go.
And listen, the guy's in the chopper. He gets you the exclusive news. I mean, recently he broke, if you didn't know, as a wrestling fan, that are together. It's an exclusive, Jimmy. It's an exclusive.
Imagine if he had that chopper back in the day. He could have flown over, the Boston Garden. Oh my God! What is Snooker doing? What is he doing? Did you imagine?
What is he doing to my girlfriend?
Yeah, the What a Day chopper. Right. Excellent.
The What a Day chopper.
What do you, Mike? Let me ask you. What do you think the kid's motives were? Do you think the kid was put up to it, or do you think the kid was just on his own?
Listen, man. Okay, so let's get into Kennedy for 1 second.
All right.
Here's my thoughts on Kennedy, and if I was a betting man, which I am, right? You know this. John F. Kennedy was murdered by the mob. Okay.
Okay.
The mob was in bed with Kennedy's father. The mob made sure that John F. Kennedy was elected president. Look, they were voting under they had mob officers, right? The mob has officers getting dead people's names and voting under those names. Back then, it was a little bit different. It was a little bit easier, right? But unfortunately, Kennedy and his brother decided to gain a conscience, and they turned on the mob, right? Because there were specific agreements made about this. So, they talk about the Marilyn Monroe thing, all this other bullshit. No. The mob finished. I mean, when you talk about Lee Harvey Oswald and Jack Ruby, they knew each other.
Right.
Everybody was mob related.
Right.
And Kennedy wasn't shot by one person. It was a bunch of people shot the guy, the president, and it was an unfortunate event. So now, Jimmy, you asked me about this guy. What's his name? Woods, right? I think his name is Crooks. I'm sorry, Crooks. Yeah.
Fitting name.
Part of me feels like, the Columbine thing, right? My life sucks. I want to be in history forever and ever. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be the man to take out Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. But then part of me feels like the deep government. I'm not talking about. I'm being honest here. Joe Biden, Kamala. That's not the deep government, man. There's a deeper, darker government.
Agree.
And
I agree.
Listen, my political beliefs have always been that Barack Obama was the beginning of the setup to be the changeover to change the United States to a socialist government. Unfortunately, no one saw Donald Trump in the wings. It was supposed to be Hillary to carry it on, and then whoever was next, and
Right.
whoever was next. And
Right.
by the way, these are all the people that hung around with Epstein and did all the crazy shit with Epstein. And that's why, you know, it's so fun. It's not even funny. Epstein gets hung in his jail, even asks about it anymore. It's like, oh, over. Doesn't matter. Right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
It's like, so, you know, and that's what makes me laugh. It's like, I know we all love wrestling, and, you know, it's good. People love the drama with Vince McMahon, but that's small potatoes, dude. This is the
Yeah.
real life shit. So my belief, Barry was a Manchurian candidate. Many think so. Nice, Phil. Yeah. Part of me believes that they found a kid that could shoot, or maybe they even trained them. They said, "You're gonna go up. We're gonna take out Donald Trump. You're going to die. When it's over and you kill him, you will die, but you'll go down in history as the guy that killed Donald Trump." And part of me feels like that kid said, again, that's my feelings on it, Jimmy. It could go different ways.
Possible.
It was coerced. And when he failed, for whatever reason, and thank God he failed, because people don't realize this. I think, Jimmy, you and I spoke about this. If President Trump was assassinated, we would all been in a world of hurt.
Yep.
Crazy people would have been running the streets. No one would have been safe. Shots would have been taken at everybody. Biden would have to hide in a shell. It would have been crazy. You walking the street, whether you're a Trumpster or not, they'll just shoot you. You've been shot. That's my feeling on the whole thing. Your thoughts?
I think I'll tell you why I think you're right, because one of the first things I did was walk into Karen's room and say, "Where are the guns?" And you know me, am I Mr. Gun Expert, Mike? No, not at all. It's the first thing I wanted to know. How many do we have and what do we have? You know, because the so-called peaceful movement for the free world is a very violent movement. It's very violent. They always accuse the other side of being the violent ones, but I don't see that. I don't see that. I don't. Now, there's extremists on both sides, and I have no use for either of those sides, either side. If you're extremist, I want nothing to do with you. But you're right, though. If he had died, complete chaos would have ensued, because people are fed up. They really are fed up. And down south, it's a much different level of fed up than it is up north. You unfortunately are like, you're almost like not allowed to exist up there, Mike, with your beliefs and your opinion, which I find really sad. Okay, down here, don't pull that shit down here, man. You won't even get off the block. The whole block will blow you away. All right. And I did experience it a little bit in Long Island when Antifa was threatening to come through Lindenhurst. When I worked at the liquor store, I saw one of the most beautiful sights I've ever seen in my life. I saw the bikers and the cops form a chain to block off Lindenhurst, and the return fire on Facebook come through here. We will blow you away. And this was the police and the bikers. And they were right outside my store, because I stayed open during that threat. I was, running the liquor store. I'm taking care of the community, and they were right there. They were like, anything happens, we're right here. And I was just like, amen, because the so-called peaceful side wants to do everything by force, because we don't fit their window, because we hold respect for our grandparents who fought and died in World War II, and their parents in World War I, and our parents who grew up in that, have respect, okay? Because the human race is a very dangerous one and a very scary one when not kept in check, all right? And as far as I'm concerned, part of being kept in check is not openly rooting for the death of a politician who doesn't fit your window. You're not keeping it in check. You have no respect for the guys who died on the Hill in World War I or II. Okay? They fought so you could
Jimmy,
have freedom of speech.
Do you think that girl
Not
should have,
freedom of stupidity.
Do you think that girl should have been arrested for her comments?
Yes, absolutely. That's some unconstitutional hate speech right there. That's bullshit. All right? Don't take freedom of speech and twist it to that level. All right? Everybody knows deep inside what the right thing to do is, and the ones who don't carry that out are the ones who professionally lie to themselves when they commit evil deeds. All right, you know what this kid did. If it was what you said, and they told him, "Hey, you kill him, you're gonna get killed, but you're gonna go down in history." Blah blah blah. What makes him any different than those two fucking assholes who slammed planes into the World Trade Center because they thought they were going straight to God for their cause? Doesn't make them any different than him. They're all shit. SHIT, shit. Okay? The average normal American doesn't stand for that. And I'm sure there's got to be some sane Democratic Americans out there that don't think like this. And if you all do, oh my God, what are you doing? Are you going to tell me every single American Democrat is going to back what that dumb girl said? That's insane. She's advocating murder. What does she know? Does she know anything about this country? Does she know who won World War I, who the Allies were, who the Axis was? Does she know anything about World War II? When she throws around Hitler and Trump in the same fucking sentence? Millions of people were burned, thrown in mass graves. President Trump was in office for 4 years. Show me the mass graves. Show me the burned bodies. Show me the swastikas. Where? Where, you stupid bitch? Where? Uneducated and frightening. If that's the fucking future of this country, I hear a toilet flushing in Flushing.
Somebody finally had it.
Shut the fuck up. Jesus Christ. Seriously, bro. Scary. Scary. And you know something else? That kid came from a very dysfunctional family. Anybody notice just on the surface? One's a liberal, one's a Democrat, conservative, one's a Republican. What the fuck is going on in that house? What kind of fucking arguments were going on there? He's a registered Republican. Well, he fucking donated to a major Democratic movement in 2021, so he obviously was probably a registered Republican to piss his parents off. I don't fucking know, you know? You want to speculate? Let's speculate.
Here's what we do know. Police were aware of Crook being at the rally. The building was in striking distance. And
yeah,
finally,
they didn't have the manpower. Yeah, right.
The FBI believes Crooks acted alone.
Okay. So a kid, a 20-year-old kid who's obviously an amateur gunshot, is able to get up onto a roof because they claim they don't have the manpower. Come on, man. Really? Am I supposed to believe anything I'm being told? I mean, how dumb do they think we are? How dumb do they think we are? I've seen other angles from people who were standing on the ground pointing right at him. They're like, hey, he's right there. Oh, where? Oh, which way did he go? Which way did he go? What the fuck are you talking about? They had plenty of time to make sure that kid did not get a shot off. That's absolutely ridiculous. All right? Someone wanted that kid to get that shot off. That much I feel pretty damn confident about. So do I think the shooter acted alone? Not really. I don't think that. Can I prove it? No. That's what I feel. You know? I mean, what do you mean you don't have the manpower for that building? It's ridiculous. You've seen the overhead shot of the building compared to where he was standing? Are you serious?
Jimmy, it was a pretty rough weekend.
Look, Mike, I've said it before. Let me just get this in. I've said it before. Donald Trump came and invaded the private barbecue. All right? It's a much simpler way of saying what you said earlier, all right, when you said what Obama started. Donald Trump came along and invaded the private barbecue. They gave him no respect, and they thought he was a clown show, and they didn't think that he could possibly fucking win. So they actually played it straight. Very rare for them, but they made a mistake. They played it straight, and he won. And we saw what happened in the next 4 years. He wasn't allowed to do anything. Anything he tried to do was hammered with nothing but criticism. I mean, the media should be embarrassed at this point that they've lost more than half the country, because they have lost more than half the country after what happened this past weekend. You've lost more than half the country now, buddy. You're really fucked up. You're really fucked up this time, okay? Because now nothing less will be accepted. You can try your mail-ins. You can try anything you want to fucking try. But if you pull anything slightly that's not above board, you're going to be looking at a civil fucking war. I'm afraid. That's what I'm afraid of. Like you said, like if Trump had been killed, we were afraid of what might happen. You know, you cannot keep kicking the fucking American public between the nuts and smiling, saying your truth is the truth. We don't feel it. We don't see it. You know, so I'm afraid as to what the end result may be.
And you know what? We should be afraid. We should be afraid. Um, yeah, we should be afraid.
Do you think? Do you think that that's hate speech? What she basically just was professing, that girl.
I think when you say someone should be assassinated, you're supporting an assassination of anybody. You know, this is now going to get a little interesting. Okay, so
Well, assassination is a form of terrorism. Let's keep that in mind. Go ahead.
okay, but here's my thing. Um, I don't want to say you have a healthy, not a like isn't the right thing, but you have thoughts about Charles Manson, right? We've discussed Charles Manson.
Sure.
You don't think highly of him. So I'm not saying that. There's some thoughts. Charles Manson was put in jail for life. He never murdered anybody, right? He persuaded people to do things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a Charles Manson believer, okay, right? Mm-hmm. But he persuaded people to do things. So when there's a young girl in the car screaming that one half of the now you got to listen to the girl. That would have been one half of the problem. So she's now saying, "Kill Trump, kill Biden," right? She's saying this on that video.
Mm-hmm.
Persuading someone to kill someone. To me, that's no difference than Charles Manson. So if we've already set up that precedent, this girl should get arrested. And sooner or later, in the world of social media, your statements, you should be held accountable for your statements.
Right.
And when you're wishing the assassination of the leader of the free world, our future leader of the free world, there should be ramifications for it. In the other way. I mean, bring it back to Vince McMahon. Janelle Grant broke all the rules. Okay, all this stuff that she's angry about was supposed to be handled in court, right? It's all in the paper. She went outside because this is the world now. The rules don't apply anymore. But the problem is there's never ramifications. Michael Sequela, actor, California, makes a deal with Monte and the Pharaoh and then decides to keep no consequences. There has to be consequences. Jay Will.
Right.
One of Charles Manson's files, Lynette, where did that go? Lynette Squeaky.
Yeah, Squeaky Froms.
Tried to kill Gerard Ruth Ford. Ford is the only U.S. president drafted by the NFL. Did not know that. Jimmy, your thoughts on my comparison to Charles Manson?
Well, there's differences, but to me, the end result should still be jail time. The difference is Charles Manson was a orchestrator. It's not just a suggester. The reason why Charles Manson wound up in jail was it was clear that he orchestrated events to lead to murder. Whether he picked the La Bianca home, he picked where Sharon Tate was staying. All right, he gave them the weapons. He took them there. He even drove them to the La Bianca home and went inside and tied them up to say, "This is how you do it." Okay, much different, but not different as far as suggestion. Okay, Manson is much more a hands-on crime and obviously a crime. Hers is hate speech allowed to run wild. Okay, I don't want us to turn up like Russia or turn out like Russia. But if she went on Facebook in Russia and said this about Putin, she would be disappearing right now. That would be the end of her. All right. That doesn't mean that that's right. But what it means is that at least in Russia, you are not allowed to run your mouth to the point where you're compromising the government. Okay. You can question the government all you want, but when you start calling for assassinations, you are now a criminal. All right. To me, you're a criminal. All right. I don't want Joe Biden shot. I don't want Donald Trump shot. I didn't want Barack Obama shot. I didn't want George Bush shot. I was very upset as a kid when I saw Reagan almost get shot. You know, you don't want to see that because all it does is make your country unstable. I am not rooting for the unstable America that we seem to be in the middle of right now. So, no, I never want to see anything like that. And yes, what she's suggesting is criminal. It is criminal. Words are very important. People think that we can just toss them around, that they have no ramifications. They do. Now, as far as ramifications go, our situation with Intuitive reminds me of the United Nations and the Better Business Bureau. Because if the United Nations really stood for what they're supposed to stand for, a lot of this world would not be doing what it's doing right now. The United Nations was formed to prevent what's going on in the world a lot since then, but they're just a governing body that makes money and doesn't really do anything about anything. In a proper America, the Better Business Bureau would have been contacted, and this guy would have been forced to pay us and be tossed in jail. But there again is another faction. I'm not sure what they're there for. What is the Better Business Bureau there for? We signed
By
an
the way,
agreement in good
Jay,
legal faith, and we got fucked. So how is that? How
by the
is
way,
that not a
Will,
better business situation?
Jay Will's quoting Charles Manson. Charles Manson was quoted saying, "Only if Pharaoh had been around to accept my music." You could have saved. You could have saved Sharon Tate, dude. If you were around and you were like, "Hey, Charlie, your music's good. Let's do something with it." Maybe that would have been a different world. What do you think?
No, I don't. Well, first of all, I wouldn't have been pushing for Charles Manson to be signed to a label. He had one. He did have one good song. I'll give him that. But no, I can't say that Charlie missed his calling as a great musician. I mean,
I'll give him that.
have you heard some of his other songs? They're horrendous. They're terrible. You know,
They
they're
are.
they're really bad. You know, so he managed to write one pretty song, "Look at Your Game, Girl," and that's about it. I mean, do I think that he should have been a famous musician? No, not really. You know, he
All
fulfilled his
right, dude.
destiny.
All right, dude. Passed away this weekend. Also, quick thoughts on Dr. Ruth.
You know, I will never get it. I'll never understand it. How is someone like Dr. Ruth an expert on sex?
Well,
Someone's got to explain.
she was a young woman at some point.
I get all of that, but I just listen. I look. She obviously was very unique. Her presentation, her voice, and everything like that made her a star. I get all of that. But I got to be honest, Mike. Listen, if you're having problems with your dingaling, not to use a Chuck Berry thing, but if your dingaling won't ring, okay,
Right.
are you
Yeah.
really going to go looking for her for advice?
Um.
I'm going to go with no.
Well, okay. So there's a couple of things with that, Jimmy. That's a really good point. But this was a good lady, and she was entertaining. Okay,
Right.
at the bare minimum, she was entertaining. Okay,
I
and
got
let's
it.
not
I got
forget
it.
the Switch survivor also, wasn't she?
I got it, man. All I'm pointing out is that I can't believe that she made it for sex. I'm like, wow. You know, was it because she was so different? I mean, what made her the sex expert? You know, what was it? Because I got to be honest, I never gravitated towards her advice or anything. I just didn't think that would be somebody I'd talk to about it. You know,
Well,
just
rest in
weird.
peace, Dr. Ruth.
Yeah.
Richard Simmons. Now, by the way, it's under investigation, which is
Why's that?
odd. They're not saying, but it's right
Why?
now under investigation.
Why would that be? I don't know. What was he, 76 or something like that? You know,
Yep, yep, yep.
he was a cheerful fella. Another guy that, if you look at him, I don't want to look like that. This is weird. This is weird. I don't look for, like, you know, in fitness. I don't think of him. You know, but again, here's another guy with a really good shtick and a personality and
Dude, you
everything
know
like
what?
that. And,
I don't know how
you know,
deep you were into him, but this was a man that did change people's lives, right? You know, obesity in the United States is certainly an issue, right? I'm one that knows that's a fact, right? So, he did make a difference in people's lives, and the one thing I will remember, listen, at some point, all of us listened to Howard Stern and enjoyed that type of humor, I guess, at our age. As I've gotten older, and then I've realized it goes into the story. I'll be quick, but in the military, I was quite the shot. Okay, and I'm not. Again, I'm just trying to explain. I was quite the shot, and I used to work in JFK, and I had guys that worked under me, and they had this BB gun. I'll be quick, Jimmy, because it's the point is they were shooting pigeons, but they were struggling, right? They were hit, like you said, how do you miss the shot? They would hit one pigeon out of 10. And like being at the young braggart I went and took the BB gun, and by the time I was done, the whole floor was covered with dead pigeons. And then
murderer.
And then well, you're right. When I looked at it, I said, "What did you just do?" And you know, and to me, it was almost unforgivable what I did, right? But the point is this: when you're a young guy and you're listening to Howard Stern, you think it's funny. He's making fun of all these people. He's degrading women. He's doing all this stuff. And at some point, Howard, make fun of this girl Dana, Dana from
Dana Plato from Different Strokes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. She literally kills herself the next day because he humiliates her. He did it to a guy in Philadelphia. He brought his ex-wife in, and they humiliated him, and the dude offed himself because of it. He would bring Richard Simmons in, and he made a joke out of Richard Simmons. And, I'll never forget on Channel 9 that all these fat people, and Richard's on there, and he thinks he's going to help them, and they would put a string of, like, chicken and cheese doodles would fall in front of the fat people. Right. And at the time, I'm this young person, and I'm laughing. And now when I look at it, I think to myself, like, here was Richard Simmons. Thank you, Jay. And Jay, I will tell you, Dana Plato, I blame Howard Stern for that whole thing. And I don't buy into Howard's whole "forgive me now" thing. I don't believe in it. But the point I'm trying to say is, I always, like, Richard Simmons to me was a good guy who tried to help people, and then he was bullied out of his position in the world because of the way he acted and his flamboyancy. And
right.
Again, this is a guy that I felt was a good guy. You know what I'm saying? That's all. I guess that's my point.
Honestly, the both people we talked about, I liked them both. I had no issue with them. I just was amazed that they made it in the fields they did. That was.
No, I certainly understand. Saying you bring it back like to the first show. It's like, Dr. Ruth Restheimer, like who wants to talk to a 90 grandmother about having sex with your girlfriend? I get it. You make great stuff, dude. Who wants to take exercise, and diet advice from some flamboyant guy running around in his underwear? I get it. Shannen Doherty died of breast cancer at age 53. Moved on to some other things. Thoughts on her?
Well, I always wanted to make it a point to watch Charmed, and I believe she was in Charmed, correct? I never really got around to it. Way too young. Just way too young. I mean, what, 53? Yeesh.
53, bro.
Not good. And if I can throw this in, I don't know if you're aware of this, but I just read that he made it to 94, but Bob Newhart just passed away.
You got it. Yep. My wife just told me about that too.
Yep. And I love Newhart. I really did. I love the original Newhart show in the 70s.
Listen, dude, but when someone's 94, you kind of like, hey.
I know. I was amazed he was still around.
You did all right.
He did great. I was amazed he was still around.
Think about Shannen Doherty, right?
Yeah.
And look, dude, I hate to say this. Jason Morning says Richard Simmons was a good-hearted person. The First Lady says I liked Richard Simmons.
Yeah, he was a good.
Liked you too.
He was definitely a good-hearted person. There's no
Think
doubt
think
about
about
it.
this, dude.
Yeah.
I would say most of the time when you get cancer, and
Mm.
if you're fortunate enough to go into remission, you know it's coming back. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
And the second time it comes back, it's going to get you.
Right.
I hate to say it like that, right?
Right.
Here's
Right.
Shannen Doherty. She gets breast cancer, kind of gets rid of it, and starts going to her brain, and now you're living this sentence. How does Jimmy Pharaoh, if you're in that situation, how do you deal knowing that the end is right around the corner?
Well, the only thing that would keep me going is that no day is guaranteed. The end is always around the corner. And I better look at it that way if God forbid that ever happens to me, because the alternative is to take the Kurt Cobain highway. And that ain't fair to nobody around you. So basically, I just have to take 1 millimeter at a time, 1 second at a time, which is kind of what I do now. I try to take 1 minute at a time, you
Just think
know?
about that, too, dude. Think about that. How about this? We didn't even think about this. How about some of these deep, governments finding sick people that know their time is up, almost like Escape from New York, right? They put a little timer on you and they said, "Hey, you know what? Let me train you, and you can go out and you'll be in the history books." People love fame, right? They just love it, no matter
I
how they
guess
get it, right?
I guess they do. There must be something wrong with me. I don't want any kind of fame attached to what that moron
No,
did over the weekend.
no,
I don't
no,
I don't
no,
want
not
that.
at all.
I'd rather remain anonymous. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know?
Goes back to the old question. I'll ask you again. I know what your answer is going to ask you, but I'll just say, you start over. You know how your life is now,
Hmm.
and God says to you, you can be Walter Payton, or you can be Jimmy. Which way are you going?
It's never going to change. I'm going to be me. I'm going to be me because I know at the end of the day that I went with what God gave me. God gave me musical talent. I pursued it. God gave me the ability to entertain people. I'm still pursuing that to this day. I'm doing what God gave me the tools to do. If I'm not good at something, I try to be good at it. And if I'm not good at it, my gut read tells me, stop. You're not good at this. This is not one of your gifts. That's all there is to it. You got to go with the gifts God gave you at the end of the day. And you got to be proud of yourself for what you've accomplished. You cannot second guess like that to yourself. And we all do it. I'm not saying I don't. We all do it. But I don't think I would have changed a fucking thing. I don't think I would have. I've come this far going by what I feel is right. And I don't see myself changing at any time down the road either. You know, I've had a very, very interesting life, and I really wouldn't want to trade it for anybody else's. And I'm quite confident that it's a movie. It's just, it's my movie.
Well done, Jimmy. All right. Well, it's a wrestling show, so I did throw some wrestling in there.
Get out
But
of here! I want to talk European football. What are you talking about? Go ahead.
all right, here's the latest WWE salaries. I'm going to read them to you and tell me if you think they deserve it or the list should be different. We'll start
Sure.
with number one, Roman Reigns, $15 million a year.
He's worth every penny. Because I'm not privy to just how much this company makes. I would assume that way, 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 way more than enough to be able to pay him that. So if he's at the top of the list, he should be. He's been their biggest drawer and their champion for the past several
So of,
years.
of the list that you see him on top of the list, you're in agreement.
Yeah, if he's at the top, I can't make it out from what I'm seeing here. But if
Well,
he's number,
I'll read it to you and you can make adjustments.
he's
Cody
number one.
Rhodes.
Okay,
Yep, he's number one. Number two is Cody Rhodes at 10 million.
that's pretty amazing. I'd say he's worth it. I would say he's worth it. I would. He's selling the merchandise and he's carrying the strap right now. So am I surprised at that figure? No, not at all.
Randy Orton, $10 million a year at number three.
Very nice. Loyalty pays off. A little surprised Randy's up that high, but not surprised because of his company service time. So
Honestly, I think that's a partial keep him away from AEW move also.
very interesting. Okay, I could see that, but I'm not shocked that he's making that. I am surprised he's up that high though. Go ahead.
Seth Rollins, 9.
I would think Seth Rollins would make more than Randy. to be honest. I'm a little surprised at that, So I would probably switch Seth up a spot over Randy.
But at no point are you saying, "Hey, these guys aren't worth that kind of money."
No, they're all so far with the kabillions of dollars WWE probably generates. No, I'm not having an issue with any of this. Go ahead.
Drew McIntyre, $8 million a year.
Very nice, man. Boy, oh boy, has he come a long way from when we saw him at the fireman's house, Mike, or what?
Crazy dude, that you're so funny. That's all I ever think about. I'm like,
Yep.
Life can turn on a pin.
Yep.
Life can turn on a pin. You just gotta hang in there, man.
Yeah.
It's like you wouldn't blame Drew McIntyre if he just would have quit. Who knows what he would have did? But look at him now. Look at him now.
Right.
And I gotta tell you, is that guy one physical beast? He's a beast.
He is. He's great. I love McIntyre. I think McIntyre is doing the finest work of his career right now.
CM Punk, $8 million a year.
Punk takes a little bit of a pay cut. Very interesting. Well, not from AEW, obviously, but
right.
I think that Punk is honestly worth more than everyone on that list except possibly Roman currently. I think Punk is worth more than Cody, but that's me. I still think that Punk is that big of a name and that much of a merch mover.
I think Punk is in a good spot. I think $8 million. He's an older guy. We don't know how it's. You know what I mean?
I would be happy if I'm Punk. I would be very happy. He's being very well treated. Come on, that's a fortune.
I was glad to see this. Kevin Owens at $7 million a year.
Good, worth every penny. Worth every penny. Kevin Owens is also another great company guy, and one of the absolute, along with Rollins, the finest workers that you can really send out there. I mean, Randy, I wouldn't push too much. Randy's a great worker, but Rollins and Owens are they just kill themselves. You know what I mean? They really do.
I got to tell you, when it's all said and done, Jimmy, I think Seth Rollins is going to be recognized as maybe one of the great wrestlers of all time. Forget about just like, I'm not talking like wrestler, promo, all that shit. Yeah. Just as a wrestler, like I said, that guy very rarely gives a bad match. And, that one with the Money in the Bank with Damian Priest. Damian Priest made Seth Rollins look bad, which literally it's very hard to do. It's very hard to do.
Mike, you said it a long time ago, but you were talking about in behind the scenes as Vince's Shawn Michaels. I agree, though, not just behind the scenes, but in the ring. Seth Rollins is this day and age's WWE version of Shawn. The guy's fantastic. Yeah. I mean, he's fucking great, man. Rollins is great. Owens is great.
Here's one that Shawn didn't get this one. Finn Balor at 7.
How much is Finn getting?
$7 million, equal to Kevin Owens.
Getting as much as Owens. Well, I will say this much. As far as an in-ring worker, he's right there with those guys. And he is. He's a great wrestler, Mike.
Yeah, but let me ask you something. If the WWE got rid of Finn Balor, would he be missed?
No. You're right about that.
That's what I'm trying to say. I don't think he'd be missed. It'd be like, okay, bye.
You know what? He might be the first one on that list that I can say that about. Because if Cody left, I don't think that would be good right now.
No. And
Roman,
we got Roman,
by the way, Roman not being around, I know we haven't talked about this past week's products on Raw and SmackDown. Roman not being around is really starting to, what you were talking about is coming to fruition. There's a lot of shit on those cards. I was like, there's a trickle-down effect going on here without Roman around.
Yeah, well, again, they'll bring him back when they seem to hit on all cylinders. Jey Uso at $7 million a year.
I don't understand. But you know what? I can't argue with the amount of money because you know what Yeet is doing merchandise-wise.
That's what I'm saying, Jimmy. He is so hot right now.
Right.
If they were ever thinking about turning heel, they never can. It's impossible.
Right. And if he left the WWE, that'd be a problem. So I agree. I mean, I don't get it, but I get it. You know, the fact that he's only
You
making as much as
you're
Finn Balor,
you're
very
not
interesting.
you're not a fan, but you get it.
Yeah, I get it. But think about it, though. He's only making as much as Finn Balor. I would start getting annoyed if I'm Jey Uso. It's time for a raise, don't you think?
Listen, I think if you're Jey Uso and you're just coming out of that tag team, because from what I understand, when it comes to tag teams, they split that money. I don't know. How about this one? Rhea Ripley at 6, the only woman on that list. Now, we're talking about you and I earlier on the show, or the first show was like, which one are we
Yeah.
looking for? Both answered, Liv and Rhea.
Right.
I'm shocked there's no more women on the top 10 list. I mean, the
Right.
women, or maybe you're
Agreed.
just right, Jimmy, that women to you is an additive, and maybe it really is an additive.
Well, it's becoming more of a preservative, but understand when they threw around the word evolution, evolution doesn't happen in a day. Evolution takes time. Okay, correct? Agreed? The definition of evolution means
Yeah.
it takes time. So there are certain women that are becoming and are, in my mind already, obviously preservatives. Charlotte Flair is a preservative. She's not an additive. No way. You know,
Mm.
Rhea is a preservative. If Liv Morgan keeps this up right now, I feel she's much more preservative than additive. You know what I
Right.
mean? The women should definitely be getting paid more. Definitely. Rhea Ripley is worth more than Kevin Owens currently. I believe that. Am I wrong to say that, Mike? My
Current,
business book?
yeah, you're right
I
now
think I'm right.
in this moment, but the
Yeah.
longevity of Owens
Oh,
has to
Owens is.
stand for itself, right?
Look, Kevin Owens is a first ballot Hall of Famer, okay? Rhea's got a long way to go before that, but her current worth, which is substantial to me, is definitely worth more than what she's getting on the pay scale. And if
Right.
she's the top paid woman, I'm amazed that she's the only one on that list. Charlotte Flair, even though she hasn't been around for a while, that doesn't matter. Charlotte Flair is like the John Cena of her deal. You
Sure.
know, what are we talking here? So I think that the women are getting kind of pinched. I don't like that. That don't make sense to me. There's plenty of preservatives on that women's roster.
Right.
But
Right.
the
Right.
evolution's going to take time. I mean, it may never be 50-50. We may never get to that, you know? We'll see.
No, that's it.
Who else,
Listen, dude.
who
Go
else is
ahead.
on that list? Who else
That's
is
it.
on that list?
That's your top 10. That's it, bro.
That was the list. Wow, very interesting. That's different. All right. I wonder what they make a year, the company itself. Jesus God. You got to get me those numbers.
Well, I think like even when we talk about baseball, it really all comes down to merchandising, man. They know how much everybody's worth, and it's like
Right.
you got to keep that merchandise going, and it's like But God,
Right.
could you imagine $6 million pro wrestler?
Right.
I'm
Well,
5 years go by, you're done. You don't need anything else. You're done.
right. Times have changed, man. I mean, this gets back to everybody should thank Hole and Nash for starting all of this. Right?
You know what? They really should do. And, Jason said that wrestling ratings are down on Raw and SmackDown. Forget about AEW. I mean, we've known that's dead. I'm shocked. I did not know the ratings were going down.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So
I'd have
that
to look into
look, they need Roman back, right?
I think they do. I think there's been a
Wow.
trickle-down effect. I
All
absolutely
right. That
do.
being said, Jimmy, we've been on for about an hour or something. A great conversation. I think on a personal level, I'm getting better on my production. I'm at least
There you
getting
go.
some kind of thing going. Great talk, great political talk. It was good. It was good to talk about the state of the country. It made me feel good. I love the fact that you know what you're talking about. Very easy to talk about it. It's good stuff, man. It's good stuff. Phil says Monte and Pharaoh, $6 million could buy a bionic man in the 1970s. You're 100% right, dude. The $6 million man, dude. Could you imagine being fortunate enough to be someone that gets that kind of money?
I've thought about it in the past. I wonder why fate or whatever circumstances, that people wind up with money that completely blow it and don't know what to do with it and all this other crap. Look, I've told you 1,000 times, if I ever became a millionaire, I would get a piece of property in the middle of the woods, make sure there's a running creek somewhere nearby, and only come out to do my job and then go right the fuck back home. I'd probably have no computers in my house. I'd probably have no computers in my house. I'd have several dogs
That's great.
and several cats, and that's about it.
That's
I
great.
would want nothing to do with anything. I would want to just go do what I'm paid to do, and then basically enjoy the peace and quiet. I don't understand why people do what they do with their money. But keep in mind, I'm an older man now. I'm not a young kid anymore. But I kind of had that mindset even back in the days with the band that if I made it, just wanted to get a nice piece of property, go out on tour when I have to, and then get the fuck back home. That's it. Me and Brett Favre chopping, wood, out in the forest or something like that.
So funny. Jimmy, you want to set us out?
Very well, my friend. You've been watching Monte and the Pharaoh, produced by Mike Monte. And until next week, later.